Okay guys, talking about UNICARRIERS slash Nissan forklifts. And yes, UNICARRIERS, Nissan, just about the same thing. These are newer, the Nissan's a little bit older, but they are, as far as mechanics, workings, everything is the same, just about. So, this forklift is experiencing a little bit of sluggishness. It just kind of falls on its face. It doesn't want to start sometimes. It will get up to high idle, but you kind of have to baby it. So I thought, oh man, what the heck is going on with this thing? So we were thinking about the regulator. Now let's put this to bed now. So this is a regulator, guys. Up here in the north, we call this a regulator. Some people or some techs and what have you, they want to call it a vaporizer. Okay, a vaporizer regulator. Call it what you want. Virtually the same thing. Now, in the olden days, these never had coolant lines running through them. They were just a regulator, like on your propane tank on your barbecue. They would get cold and they'd foul up, and sometimes you'd bang on them and they would, start working. Well, this is a different system, a little more complex. So we've got the coolant that runs to the motor. Once the motor's warm, it warms this regulator up. So what we've done is we pulled the bottom part and we pulled the top plug apart. This is 17 millimeter, guys. It's got a Phillips head. We remove that. I actually like to remove the 12 mil that's on the bottom first. And what this is the plug, if you can see it, but right here, there's a cavity that goes up in. And you'll see that 12 mil hanging up in there. Now, this is the bottom plug to the regulator. I usually leave it under pressure. Now, you want to do this if you can, but we weren't able to do it with this machine. And the reason is because I couldn't get it to run long enough to build any damn heat. So I had to improvise a little bit. We let it run as long as I could get out of it, got some temp out of it. But like I said, you want to try to do it when it's warm. Pull that 12 mil out first, and when you do, you'll get a bunch of this blackish tar stuff coming out, just like this. I got quite a bit out of this machine. I was really surprised how much it had in there. So if it blows that out and you've got some enough to put on your finger, it's dirty. It's got stuff inside of there. So what I did was we can pour some alcohol down in here, like rubbing alcohol or something like that. You can also use some of this. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It's going to dry out the gaskets. I know. We put some of that in there, and man, we got all kinds of gunk in there. It's still sitting in there, matter of fact. So we'll see how much we get out. A couple other things I want to run by you. When you're under the hood of this thing, go ahead, while you're already under the hood and you've got your tools, pull the mass airflow out. Pull it out, clean it out, because I almost guarantee it's going to have some of this crap on there. Just a little bit of buildup is all it needs to throw air codes. We did already clean that. It was pretty clean, but now it's really clean. There is another thing I want to show you. So on this hose that goes from your regulator, your vaporizer, it goes into the injector housing. I've already pulled the injector out and cleaned it really well. If you look very carefully, you'll see that screen sitting in there. That screen filters everything that comes up in there. Now, it had a little bit of junk on it, but not much. Recommend looking at that. There's a clip spring type thing in there that holds it in there. Make sure you put it in the same way when you put it back. Make sure the gasket's on the outside. Also, there is one other thing that most these guys don't talk about. Check this out. So, it looks like a little mini fuel filter. It's kind of what it is, only it's for air and propane. It sits over here in your cutoff valve. And this housing sits just like that. Then this cone sits over the top of it, just like this. Now, 8 millimeter times 4, pull those off of there. Pull that out and look at it. Now, I looked at it, and it looked just like it is now, and I thought, looks awfully clean. Looks like it's been replaced. I put my mouth up to this, and I tried to blow through it, and I couldn't. So I thought, man, that's kind of strange. So I took some purple power, and I cleaned this little filter out. Man, you wouldn't believe all the black junk that came out of this. I dried it out, I blowed it out, and we've got a lot cleaner looking filter. But it didn't look dirty to begin with. That's what fooled me. We got a lot of dirt out of this thing. Now when you blow on it, it blows right through without resistance. So that's also a good thing. So you want to check that. you could probably check that first before you check everything else. But like I said, if you're under the hood already, just do everything and get it done. So we'll go ahead and we'll put some compressed air in the housing. Let's see what we get out the bottom here. If it's anything but clear liquid, it means it's got that junk in there. And folks, this stuff is actually caused, I can go into this gunk that's inside of this regulator and down in there and that screen is caused by the propane. It's not the propane itself, it's the junk that they put in propane that makes it smell. That stuff kind of turns into a liquidy, honeyish, real thick gunk, and it builds up in there. Hence the reason why we want to do this when this is warm, because it kind of runs out of there like a liquid type instead of being in solid state. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what comes out. Oh yeah, look at that. Junk. We got quite a bit more out of there. Now, we'll go ahead and let that sit and let it air out, make sure all that alcohol is out of there. Starting fluid, ether, what have you. Something else I want to go over with. So on these machines, they got a readout LCD, and it'll say E43. E43 is an air fuel ratio, and if it's not right, the engine senses that something's not right. Obviously, if it's not getting enough fuel and it's getting more oxygen, it'll throw a code. This is exactly the symptoms of E43 is what we're describing right now. So if you're having E43, now sometimes you'll have this code and it will run just fine, which isn't so bad. I mean, you can go a long time on E43 code and it won't hesitate or run strange or anything like that. It might have a little lull on the throttle, but whatever. People just run these things till they die or overheat, and you know how that goes. So check your injector, clean that out. That's this bad boy right there, Phillips. You kind of got to twist it and pop it out of there, but it comes right out. Check that screen, follow the hose all the way back. Check the hose between there and your injector housing. You can also blow it out by putting your finger over this plug and putting some compressed air right in there at the same time. See, and we got a little bit of junk out of there just before I made this video. Also check your air filter. We check the air filter and we check that sensor. It sits right there. It's flow pressure. So obviously if you've got a plugged air filter, you're going to be making quite a bit of vacuum, and the forklift will sense that. And obviously it won't be running very well as well. So hope this helps. Try to go ahead and do this without smoking or flipping any light switches, guys, because you know we've got live propane. And like I said, can't stress enough, make sure and check this little screen as well. See how much gunk you get out of it. You'll be surprised. If you guys got any comments or questions, go ahead and leave me something. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.